Good afternoon, collectors and friends, and welcome to Trading Card Therapy, episode number 110. Appreciate each and every one of you for joining us today, and we're going to get started right away. So we recently had someone, believe it or not, come into our store here in Summit, New Jersey. And it is someone who is very familiar with my content and our company, Just Collect. And they unfortunately had some unforeseen circumstances come up in their life, which we all do, from time to time, of course. And it made this individual decide to take some of their cards and try to sell them for a fair price. And as we all know, right, depending on timing, auctions are great if you have the time to wait and you think you have something special for an auction. But when you have vintage cards that are mainstream and are easily identifiable as far as comps go, it was fairly easy to identify not only what the value was, but what we would pay for them. And so that way the individual had the choice to, accept potentially a cash offer, or for that matter, they weren't happy with it, potentially bring them to the auction block. So for this particular collection, and I wish I had this gentleman here to ask him and interview him on the spot, but from what I concluded from our meeting and discussing with him, as really John did most of the talking, was he was familiar with like the GameStops and some other outfits like that, buying graded cards, but he made it very clear to us that he wanted to work with someone who was a vintage card expert and understood the nuances of the space, and candidly just didn't want to deal with like a random guy at GameStop, store number 871 and, have some sort of issue. Because as you're going to see, I'm going to share these cards with you. It's a fairly substantial group of cards. And, this individual wanted to, of course, get as much as they could, but they wanted to do it in a very easy and transparent way, one in which they would feel comfortable. And so this individual has seen a fair amount of our content, even referenced some of the individuals that we bought collections from by name. So clearly he was familiar with our YouTube channel. And so, we were very pleased to, of course, have this individual walk in with these cards. But then, it's one thing for someone to tell you about them. It's another to actually see them. So without further ado, I'd like to show you this collection that we recently acquired. Of course, we had to pay very strong for these cards. And we're going to let you see them here for the first time as a sneak peek. So let's just go through them like this, one at a time. And another thing to keep in mind, we have recently hooked up with Sammy Thunder from Sammy's, Sammy Thunder's channel. He's a vintage collector and known in the community. And so Sammy's going to be doing some collabs with us, with yours truly, doing whether it be discussions about vintage cards or sneak peeks. And we did one recently. So this sneak peek is going to be exclusive here to the Just Collect YouTube community. We appreciate all of you tuning in. And these cards that you are seeing today, we just acquired. And if you're interested in any of these cards, you can reach out to either John, John, or myself, Leighton, Leighton, at justcollect.com. And we're not going to offer them for sale anywhere else until next Wednesday, November 12th at 1 p.m. And during that window, you'll have the ability to find out what we're asking for the card, and of course get any detailed images you'd like or any other information. And the reason why we chose next Wednesday is because next Wednesday night we are participating in a very special evening at the Jackie Robinson Foundation's Museum in New York City. They're holding a collectible event, which is not only going to raise awareness for Jackie Robinson and the foundation, but it's also going to raise money. There's a little bit of a trade show going on. And so we plan to bring these cards there, as well as a slew of Jackie Robinson cards. So I encourage you, if you are interested and want to sign up, I believe you can find out more information on social. But if you cannot find it for any reason whatsoever, let me know, and I'll get you connected so you can get, tickets and such and come to the event. All right, here is, it looks to be, I don't know, maybe 75 graded cards or so. I don't believe they're in any particular order, but I do know that they're all vintage. Here we go. First up is a T206 Mathewson Dark Cap SGC 2.5, just a regular Piedmont back. Really nice T206 Cy Young in a PSA 3. And, I'll have to take a closer look, but at least at the onset, it looks, and even though it's an old label, it looks like a really nice 3. Maybe they got it for just a hair of the name is also on top. I'm not sure. There's also a Tris Speaker PSA 2 in the collection, but I believe I left it on my desk. Here is a Tris Speaker 3 MK. Well, that's interesting. It looks like some sort of period stamp. How many of you out there enjoy collecting T206s or other type pre-war cards like Gaudies or E-cards with particular stamps on the back? Would love to hear your thoughts. All right, here is a random Cracker Jack. I don't think there was many of these in the collection. Might have been only just been a couple or just this one. 33 Gaudi Dizzy Dean in a 2. But at first glance, I don't know what's wrong with this card, but that's a really, really nice 2. And also one of my more favorite images from the 33 Gaudi set. Speaking of Gaudi, here's a Jimmy Fox, the #1 card in the 34 Gaudi set. Fairly well centered. Here's another Jimmy Fox featuring his big bat on the 41 play ball. Some people love this issue. Other people hate it. I personally really like it because it includes real photos, although that one of DiMaggio, they could have got him a better one there. But that is an early Joe DiMaggio card, 1941 double play featuring him and Charlie Keller of the New York Yankees. Speaking of Yankees, there's a number of Mickey Mantle cards in this collection. Here is a 55 Bowman, which I found out recently. These cards really were styled after a television of the time. All right, we got a run of Mickeys coming here. Here's a 6MC of a 58 Topps. 58 Topps All-Star, PSA 7. Nice card. 59 Topps Mickey, PSA 4. $60 Topps Mickey. Starting to get a little higher grade. We got a 61 Mantle and a 6. Always love that Mantle. I like the way that the bat's resting on his shoulder. And he's got this very peaceful smile about his look. 63 Topps Mickey. Not an easy card to find in high grade because of the color and the chipping on the bottom. 60 Topps high number Mantle. Another 60 Topps high number Mantle and a 7. That looks to be fairly well centered. 69 Topps Mantle in a 7. Last card of his career. Really enjoy how you can see just in the palm of your hands all of his amazing stats from his illustrious career. Same card, but in a 6. This one might even be nicer. It's fairly well centered. And I guess this individual really liked the last card in his career because this is another nice 4. Or it's another nice example for the grade. All right, let me move these out of the way. So after going through that first stack, you can see it's a nice group of vintage cards. If you are interested or would like to get some better images on any of these, we're going to be offering them exclusively to the Just Collect YouTube community until next Wednesday, November 12th at 1 p.m. You can either email john@justcollect.com or myself, Leighton@justcollect.com. Pretty well centered. Always love this. 58 World Series foes featuring Mansell and Aaron. Yogi Berra rookie. This card used to be so common. I'd have no less than 5 or 6 at any one moment. I think I only have one in stock right now. Satchel Paige. One of my favorites from the 53 Topps set, 4MK. Ernie Banks rookie. I feel like I've seen cards that have been this OC and they haven't had the MC, but I guess looking at it, I can see how the B and parts of the letters are cut off. But this card is notoriously tough to find centered. Shout out to my buddy Charles from VB West. He is still trying to find a nice centered example years later. Here is a 55 Clemente rookie in a 4. Here we go. We got a couple Koufax rookies coming up. One of them is going to be a PSA 4. The other one is a 4.5. 56 Topps Willie Mays, PSA 7. One of my favorite sets from the 50s. Speaking of 56s, a nice Aaron in a 6. Here's the white name, so the correct version of the 58 Topps Aaron. But the 58 Topps Aaron, even the white name, is not easy to find in high grade. 57 Topps Teddy Ballgame, one of the greatest hitters to ever live. And I'll ask you, the community. So if I had to say to you, who is the best baseball hitter to ever live, let me know. And then if you can't limit it to one, let me know your top 3. And I know this sounds crazy, but I want to be a little crazy here, right? Is it possible or even likely? I think if you expand it to 3, we're not saying home run hitters, but if you have 3, Teddy Ballgame's got to be in the discussion. And if you have 3, I loved him growing up, and obviously did not see Teddy Ballgame play. I think you got to have, or at least consider, Tony Gwynn being in the top 3 pure baseball hitters of all time. Best pure hitters of all time. All right, to continue this collection, PSA 557 Aaron, 59 Gibson. I just found my signed Gibby in my collection. I have a nice signed autographs rookie card collection. Here's another Mays in a 7. This one is a 60 Topps. I wish this one was a 7. I'll take a 6. But a 63 Topps Pete Rose rookie. One of the most famous rookie cards of all time that feature multi-players on the card. Interesting question. How much, forget about the desirability, which I guess will play into the price, but do you believe, or how much more valuable do you think the Pete Rose rookie card would be in the 1963 Topps set if it was only him on the card? Let me know your thoughts. All right. We are down to the last stack. Hope you've been enjoying this. If you are, please let me know in the comments, because I will do more of these moving forward, where if we get a collection that's fresh, meaning it hasn't been circulated in some time, or it might not even be graded, we're going to try to give our community, who's been very loyal to us, we appreciate it, a chance, or an exclusive chance, to acquire some of these vintage beauties for a few days before anyone else does. All right, here's a Carlton rookie, fantastic lefty in a 7. I haven't had Seaver rookies very often, but recently I've had a number of them. I guess when it rains, it pours. Here's a Seaver rookie. Now, let me ask you a question, because you got another Met rookie coming up behind here. Who was the better pitcher, Seaver or Nolan Ryan? Could argue either. Nolan Ryan, I feel, is more like widely known. Of course, he had the fight with Robin Ventura on the mound. That brought him some notoriety later in his career, along with the no-hitters. But I would love to hear your thoughts. All right, so that was a Seaver rookie. We have several Nolan Ryan rookies, or I guess a couple. One's a 6, one's a 6.5. If you did not know, fun fact, but if you have a lower grade Nolan Ryan rookie, or a Nolan Ryan cool card like the Upper Deck Then and Now, or I think I just bought an Upper Deck. It was the only triple jersey card from Mets, Astros, and Rangers. And Nolan Ryan signs through his foundation. Now, it's not quick, right? It might take 3, 4, maybe even 5 months. But I've been sending him cards for at least a couple of years. Never had an issue, other than it often just takes a long time. But isn't anything that's worthwhile going to take a long time, right? Okay, let's get back to the collection. Pair of Johnny Bench rookies, PSA 6 and an 80C. Is there anyone out there that would rather have a PSA 8 OC than a PSA 6? I think I know of a couple people, but most people that I know would prefer the 6, no qualifier. All right, there was some football in the collection. Botsta rookie. Jimmy Brown. Downtown Jimmy Brown. That's a nice 5. Terry Bradshaw rookie. We actually have a 1971 Topps Football set break upcoming on our Vintage Breaks sister website, vintagebreaks.com. We always have at least 10 or 20 nice vintage set breaks up for sale. Check it out. All right, Dick Butkus rookie, 66 Philly. Very tough card to find centered. This one is no different. Nice card. Pretty sharp. Just a little OC top to bottom. Roger Staubach, PSA 7. Look at those chops. Now, my sideburns are a little bit long right now, but he's got me beat. Those are chops. All right, we got some sweetness here. Not one, but two. Two pairs of sweetness, both graded 7. I remember when I was looking through this, this is an exceptionally nice Magic Bird rookie in an SGC 8. In the coming weeks, we will be talking more about SGC and their decrease in grading volume and what that might mean for the SGC cards in your collection. MJ Sticka, 86 Fleer PSA 7. Do any of you out there remember peeling this off in 86 or 87 and ruining it? I never did because I didn't have access to 86 Fleer for a quarter a pack at Wawa in 86. But my friend Mike Siniscalchi did. I'm going to hit him up and ask him. Here is a Gretzky rookie in a 5. Pretty nice 5 at that. Couple modern cards. Tommy Brady in the 9. Just sold a Brady Bowman Chrome. I think it was a 9 to my buddy Steve from the Tennis Center. Here's a Jeter. Really nice foil. Usually what I find with the Jeters on the blue here, if it's an 8, you're pretty much going to see with a naked eye the wear. And this one is a really nice 8. So maybe that goes in the PC. 61 Fleer, Bill Russell. We got some hoops cards coming up. The Doctor. That's right, Dr. J, PSA 7. And we'll finish here with a couple football cards. Joe Montana, 7 and an 8. So now we are closing with some of the better cards in the collection. Here is everyone's classic basketball card from the 1980s. 1986 Fleer, Michael Jordan, PSA 8. Next up is very nice example of the T206 Cobb bat on shoulder PSA 4. It looks like it's dead nut centered. That is a beauty. $1941 Joe DiMaggio play ball card. This card has picked up steam in recent years. There's been more demand for it. Not a bad 3. Not bad corners for a 3. I don't know what's going on with the schmutz in the surface. Hank Aaron rookie card. Hammer and Hank. As you can see, a little bit off-centered, but pretty nice corners for a 4. And now we're going to finish up with a trio of Babe Ruth cards. 35 Gowdy. Very clean. PSA 5. Nice, bold, crisp colors. I like this set. I know there's mixed reviews out there. Everyone would prefer to have a bigger Babe, but I like the way it's situated. And here you have 2 Hall of Famers on the card, him and the Rabbit. Each of these cards, the backs would come together to make a puzzle. Here is the one oversized card. Here's a 29 caution Babe Ruth. I recently had a small collection of these come in, all ungraded and fresh with the original box that ended up with my good buddy Dan from Dan's Vintage Baseball. Check out his YouTube channel. It's wonderful. He explores a number of the sets that we're talking about today in detail. So if you enjoy vintage baseball card collecting, his is a fantastic channel to check out, along with others like Greg from Midlife Cards. He really loves vintage cards, but even more importantly, involves the community in vintage card collecting discussions, and I really dig it. All right, we are now down to the last card. Took a little bit longer than I thought. 33 Gowdy Babe Ruths have been on fire, so I don't know how long this one will stay in stock. You can see, I feel like this one is accurately graded. It's got pretty good eye appeal. I don't see any evidence of creasing, or at least the onset. It's got wear to the corners that looks VG-ish, but almost like a little bit better than VG. Thus, I believe this is accurately graded a 3.5. And absolutely, value aside, is my favorite of the 4 Babe Ruths in the 1933 Gaudy set. So please let me know, which 1933 Gaudy Babe Ruth do you fancy? If you could only have one in your collection, which is the Babe Ruth 1933 Gaudy for you? All right. We're going to get to the second topic in just a minute. Before we do, I wanted to mention a couple things. We run a pretty big ungraded auction a few times a year. We used to do it annually, but we have a lot of demand for it, as well as we have a lot of cards. So I would say we run it at least quarterly now, maybe 5 or 6 times a year, but no more than that. This might be the last one of this year. If not, it'll be the second to last one. We have a wonderful auction of over 1,000 vintage ungraded cards. So every card is raw and every card is vintage, from T206s to Mickey Mantle cards to 33 Gaudis, lots of Hall of Famers, and anything and everything in between that you're looking for. We start everything at 99 cents. There is a great combined shipping policy. So in other words, you could win 37 cards. Maximum shipping is $10. And all of these cards are up for sale on our eBay account, just_collect. And they end this Sunday. I will give you the date. November 9th. And the cards will generally end from about noon till midnight all day. So enjoy, check it out. It'll be on eBay under our eBay name, just_collect. And we combine shipping. And I think there's a wonderful, wonderful selection that you can add a myriad of cards to your vintage collection. So check it out. All right. The other thing I wanted to mention was next week, November 13th through the 15th, I am heading on one of my treasure hunts out of state, out of town, to Nashville, Tennessee. So if you are going to be in Nashville, I have just a little bit of time left that has not been accounted for, and I do not have appointments yet, but I am going to be very busy. I'm looking forward to it. But if you do have a reason that you'd like to get together, whether it be you want to trade, you want to show me your collection, you might want to sell, you want to grab a beer, you want to have a ham and cheese sandwich because you know the best spot in town for it, or for a really good burger, because I love a good burger, let me know. Would love to meet up. So I'll be there, like I said, next Thursday through Saturday. All right, the last thing I wanted to cover, and I don't know how I'm going to spend on it, but I was shell-shocked. Shill bidding has been talked about a fair amount recently in the hobby. And recently, Dr. Beckett had a discussion about shill bidding that really blew my mind. Was discussing, I guess, different types of it, if it's offensive, if it's defensive. I mean, it's like, what's the difference if you might as well call it south of the border shill bidding? To me, the way that I look at it is shill bidding is not only illegal, but it should not be allowed. And you should frown upon people who think shill bidding is good or is okay, no matter what variation they're trying to sell you of that shill bidding. It's not good for anyone in the space. It causes fake prices, which people make decisions on, and just nasty. Like, you don't want to treat people like that. You want someone to bid up an item because they just don't like the price it's going for? No, listen, here's the deal. It's pretty simple. When you consign to an auction house, there's a few things you can do up front in the negotiation process. You can discuss reserve prices, which means that, let's just say it starts at $1, but the reserve is $100. Your item will not be sold unless it hits the reserve of $100. Now, the big drawback to that, and I believe this to be true, is that bidders generally don't like reserves. And the reason why is because they don't know if the item is now going to sell. So what? Meaning, if you're that concerned about the price of what your item might sell for, well, then use that tool to protect your downside. But you don't get to have your cake and eat it also. That's what I tell my son, at least. Meaning, if you want to put it at auction and the auction house doesn't want you to have a reserve, no, you can't get your friend, your uncle, the local librarian, your cousin to bid on it because, oh, wait a minute, the moon was over here that day, the sun was here. So today we're going to call this offensively shill bidding. I realize I just made that up. No, guys, it's all offensive, meaning it's not nice. You're not being good to people doing this. So I think that you should decide for yourself what you can pay for something, because what's become apparent is not everyone's going to operate under the same rules. And I think it's sad. I don't like it. So what I would encourage you to do as a collector, as a investor, as a dealer, even as well, you're going to have to be disciplined. You're going to have to think about or figure out before you sit down to that monitor or your phone and really hone in on what your bid either will be or what you're comfortable bidding. And listen, there might be some chicanery or BS out there like shill bidding that you have to contend with, but at least you know you didn't go above your budget. But I wanted to comment on it today and not spend long on it because I don't think it needs to be an extensive discussion. I think that if you are not able to put a reserve on it, then you should set the minimum bid higher on that item. Once again, protecting your downside. And if you're not able to do either, what's wonderful is REA, Memory Lane, I think Heritage, and other auction houses as well, including eBay, have the ability to offer something at fixed price. But no, you should not be able to drum up action on your item. And then because you don't like what your item is selling for at any point in the process, by the way. So you could bid early, you could bid in the middle, you could bid at the end. None of it is okay. It's all offensive to me, meaning it's offensive. It is BS. It is not something that we need in our space. And I really hope that by others talking about it, it will become something that is understood widely by the community, that there is no tolerance for shill bidding in our hobby. And with that, we are going to wrap up Trading Card Therapy episode number 110. I am so grateful and thankful that you decided to join us today. If you liked Trading Card Therapy, if you like some stories about the collections that we purchase here, but the story behind the collection, I highly encourage you to subscribe to our Just Collect YouTube channel so that you can see future hobby content that you'll enjoy. See you real soon.